So starting off with the bed knife removal, I'll be removing the top two nuts of the bed knife. Starting with the left side, taking off the nut, screwing it off, and there's also a little spring and a washer that I'll remove as well. Then moving to the right side, start loosening off that nut again. Screwing it off, taking the spring and the washer off. Now flipping the unit up, taking the bigger wrench and loosening off the larger bolts. Starting with the right side, then moving to the left, just giving it a little bit of slack. Then taking the impact gun and unscrewing the bolts holding the bed knife in place. Doing the right there, and now I'm doing the left. Now pulling off the bed knife. Now taking the bed knife to the bed knife grinder. We'll start by placing it on. Taking out the two pegs that hold it in the proper position. Holding it down and turning on the magnet. Now we can release the two pegs that's holding it level. Now pressing the button to turn it up to the top angle of the bed knife so we can do a top angle grind. Then I will start by tightening the screw, moving in the grinder for the bed knife, and I will be spinning the grinder wheel until it has made very light contact with the bed knife. Then I'll move it over to the right side, checking to make sure that it is level and even on both sides. And it wasn't there, so I had to turn another wheel that would move the bed knife in. Moving the bed knife grinder over to the left, I'll loosen it off, turn on the blade, and start moving it back and forward, slowly feeding it in until it makes contact with the bed knife. And once it makes contact, I'll move it to the end, lock it in place, and turn on the automatic conveyor. And the automatic conveyor will continue to grind it. Now after finishing the grind, I will turn it off, move the grinding wheel away from the machine, and I will rotate the bed knife to do the bottom angle. Loosen off the wheel to give it some space, slide it over to the left while spinning the grinding wheel just to enough till I make contact, and then adjusting so it is level and even on both sides. Continuing to do that. Now that I have it at its desired contact, I will do the same process I did before and slowly infeed the grinder wheel until it makes contact, and then locking it in place and turning on the auto conveyor and listening for a nice even grind. After the grind is finished, I will move the grinding wheel away and then put on a leather glove to protect my hand and use the stone to get rid of any burr that would be left behind, and feel and make sure that I've removed the burr. Then finally releasing the magnet and putting it back on my work table. Moving to the spin grind, I will attach this little plastic piece to the top and place the reel into the grinder, and then take this little clamp, make sure it is secured and tight,
Same with the back one on that little plastic piece. And then I will grab the measuring device to measure the height of the reel, and I will clip it in to where its location is. Now moving to the screen, I will make sure it's selected the proper reel and back off the grinding blade just so there's no contact. Now I will be measuring and checking, doing it on the left and then on the right, and then making any adjustments with that wheel to make it level. And as you see that green light, that means it is level, so I will go back and double checked on the left and now on the right, and as you can see it just needed a very small adjustment and it was good, so I'll go back just to double check to make sure. And now that it is good, I will take off the measuring unit, put it in its normal spot, and I will spin the reel just to make sure there's enough contact. The goal is to have the reel barely just touching the grindstone. And I will first check it on the left and the right just to make sure that it is even on both sides. And then I will start the grinding stone halfway on the reel and halfway off. Now I will insert the motor on the proper side and close the doors and click start, and the grinder will start and continue its cycle. Now moving into relief grinding, I will open the unit up and feel just to make sure that it did sharpen before. Now I'll loosen off the wheel so I can switch out the grinding stone between the relief and the spin grind to the relief. Now swing on the relief grind stone, and I will adjust it so it will be in its relief grind position. And I will do the spin grind, has the proper contact. This is a lower unit, contact. I'll spin the wheel. Now finally checking to make sure that it is sharp. Now moving into attaching the bed knife, I will first by starting to apply the lubricant to the screws, adding the little rubber seal in, and sliding the bolt in. Making sure that it lines up with that top little screw. Now hand turning in the bolt till it is finger tight. Moving to the other side, I will lubricate the bolt again with the copper stuff and put in the rubber washer and start screwing in the bolt. until it is about hand tight. And then I will take the wrench and make it tight, but not too tight so that it won't have any rotation. And once when I got that side tight, I will move to the right and tighten it just so it is just tight. Now that I've gotten it tight, I will grab the larger wrench to tighten the larger bolts, also doing them just tight enough, but not too tight. And then doing this for the other side. Now moving to the top of the bed knife, I will put on the washer and spring with the nut and then tighten that up just so it is just has enough slack and compression on the spring. And then doing that on the left side as well. After the bed knife has been put into place, I will adjust it to make sure that it has good contact all the way through and doesn't cut the paper but pinches and holds it. Turning the top 2 screws just until we achieve that. Now that we finally got it into where it holds paper, as you can see there on both sides, I will flip the piece in half and make sure that it can cut on both sides.
Now looking at real height adjustments, I'm going to loosen the side bolt on the right side. I'm going to do it the same on the left. Then I'll make sure that bottom reel is clean, and then put the height of cut gauge. Make sure it is zeroed out, and then clip it onto the bed knife. And then as you can see here, it's not quite at 5,000, and I will turn the screw at the top to adjust it to 500. And we'll do the same for the left side. As you see, it's not there, so I'll turn the screw till it is. And then I'll just do a double check. And you see it is good. Now moving to the left to double check. This one needed a slight adjustment, and it is good.